How's everything going today, guys? My name is Copycat, and in this video, I thought it'd be really interesting to look at the top 15 best echoes that you can use in the newly released The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. This feature is one of the coolest things I've seen in a game in quite a while, allowing you to use enemies and other things to your advantage that you've come across during your adventure. Where here, I want to showcase some of the standout ones and how effective they can be. Now before we get started, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribe to my channel and hit that bell to stay notified when I upload new videos. Starting things off at number 15 is something you get right at the beginning of the game and remains useful essentially to the very end in the beds. These really have multiple uses, with the best just being as stepping stones that allow you to reach higher up spots more precisely than other similar echoes, being able to defy physics while stacking them together. Also, if you rest in a bed, you'll regain hearts depending on its type, with Zelda's doing the absolute most for you, so keep that in mind and use it when you're low on hearts. I also think I should include clouds in this spot, as they act very similarly, letting you platform vertically or horizontally to reach certain things. However, these do disappear if you stand on them for too long, so there is a downside to this, but I guess it isn't that bad in the end. Next, in number 14, I want to look at two flying foes that are great for different reasons in the Crow and the Mothula level 2. Both attacking obviously from the air, which is really useful. The Crow has the extra feature of causing the thing that you're attacking to drop rupees, so as long as you have baddies to fight, you pretty much can perform an infinite money glitch, although it may take quite a while to get the amount you want. The Goldfinch does pretty much the same thing, but is harder to get as it's an automation that needs a crow and golden fan to unlock. Also, its windup is pretty slow, so you might be waiting quite a bit of time to use it. I find the Mothula very useful as you can quickly spam its attacks and do a lot of damage in a small amount of time, especially if you lock onto your target pressing the left trigger. You can use this against bosses to attack their weak points from afar, letting you close the gap much easier, so yes, these can be good. In the 13th spot, I'm going to mention two platform-like echoes that you can use to cross bridge gaps or scale to high objects in the Flying Tiles and the Plat Boom. The former is an interesting thing, as not only can you use it as something to jump onto and move into a certain direction relatively far, but it also can do decent damage to the foes if you strike them with it. I've used this a lot while playing the game, as it takes way less time than just stacking a bunch of beds together, so therefore it is more useful. The latter is the Plat Boom, and it is interesting as it's more or less just a thwomp from the Mario series, where here it raises up into the air, then lowers quickly and damages whatever gets caught underneath it. I think you'll mostly use it as a sort of elevator to reach higher up places, as it can be a bit tough to get certain enemies to get underneath it, although you could just bind them and drag them there, which is always an option. Oh yeah, and by the way, the flying tile can be found within this cave in the northwest part of the Gerudo Desert, or within a secret room of the Gerudo Sanctum, where the Plat Boom can be found in the Still Desert Temple ruins, or in this spot right outside Gerudo Town. At number 12, we're going to look at the Tornando Echo, which is a frog-like being that can be sent outwards very quickly, which will knock back and send flying any opponents it comes in contact with. Now, even though it can be useful to get you out of certain situations, that's not why I'm showing it in this video, which is actually because you can use it to perform an amazing glitch where you can reach some truly outrageous areas. What you need to do is place an old bed down, then stand on the very end of whichever direction you want it to travel. Next, send out the Tornando Echo, and you and the bed will fly through the air and land much further away. I've seen people screw around with this glitch by also using the bind function, but it seems as if you don't have much control doing that. Although, you still can use it to your advantage if you're skillful enough. Up next, we're going to look at two echoes that are really great if you're in need of some sort of ranged attack, in the Moas and the Beos, both being eyeball-like things that shoot laser beams out of them. I'd have to say that the Moa are definitely the best of the two, as they float around and can get better angles on the things that you're attacking, where the Beos just are stationary turrets that don't even attack that fast. The Moas are decently hard to find, located up a cliff on the Hebra Mountains, where the Beos are found within a cave in the Farron Wetlands, east of Scrubton. At the number 10 spot is a classic Zelda foe that stems all the way back from the NES original title in the Octorok. Here coming in 3 different forms, being useful in those different ways. The ones you can find are just the normal old one that spits out rock projectiles against your enemies, a fire one that spits out fiery rocks that can cause things to catch on fire, and an ice one that shoots out ice rocks that freeze enemies. You can also stack these rock octopuses on top of one another to make a sort of tower defense turret structure, but even better is if you just drag them around using bind, almost turning them into your own personal gun. An echo that you'll end up using a lot after you unlock it, as it truly is one of the best platforms to use in the entire game, is the water blocks, found in the still Jabul waters during the main quest. You can once again defy physics when using this type of platform, putting it down in combination with itself to create bridges that either grow horizontally or vertically, then being able to swim within them to platform extremely efficiently. Now, there's also the added bonus of being able to bind and drag certain foes into the water block, which will instantly kill them, being super useful and kinda cheap low-key. For the number 8 spot, I'm going to talk about a few echoes that I'm going to label as bruisers, being tanky beings that usually have a sword, sometimes a shield, and are useful but only in specific situations. The ones that I would put into this category as being the best in their field are the Ball and Chain Trooper, the level 3 Darknut, the level 3 Lizalfos, the level 3 Sword Moblin, and I guess you could throw in the Temper Tweelus. That echo is kinda cool as it begins to hulk out once in a while, getting into a fit of rage, killing whatever happens to be in its path. One echo that works well in combination with other echoes is the level 2 Deu Baba, being a piranha plant-like plant that eats up any foe that comes near it. Now, it's most effective if you place it upon a table, or even something like the Path Blade. Then, it can be moved to the target as sort of a mobile monstrosity, making him much more deadly. This is very useful, as if you try to bind to the Deku itself, then it will just get plucked from the ground and die, which is pretty morbid, but I guess makes sense. At number 6, I want to look at the 2 spider echoes that help you greatly in different ways. One in the 2D platforming realm, and the other in the more traditional top-down perspective. The first is the Strangula, that you come across initially in the Suthorn runes, hanging from the ceiling where their webs can be used as a sort of ladder to move upwards to find secrets. This is a great tool when you're needing to traverse through these places, as you can just use them to travel upwards with little to no repercussions, ensuring that you won't miss out on anything. The second is the Krolchula, that you'll see outside in the wild, just north of Suthorn Village, which is able to climb up pretty much any wall or object to get to some very tricky places. To use these properly, you need to place the spider down in the direction that you want it to travel, then bind with it. Then press R, which is the reverse bind button, so that the Krolchula will literally just take Zelda with them, traveling to crazy spots. This can be useful to scale some ridiculous things, as the spider will legitimately continue as long as it can, with the only reason it not reaching a higher spot in this video is because it lacks any true offensive purpose. Coming in the 5th spot as a useful echo is the strange looking Zero Baddie, found in various locations as a bomb throwing mushroom thing that can be very annoying to face. However, they are great if they're on your side, as the bombs don't deal you any damage, plus you can pick them up and throw them towards your target to better maximize their explosion. You can have a few of these things on screen at once, so the craziness can really be upped at some points. And they also are way better than the bombfish. At number 4 is my favorite echo in this game. One that got me out of so many sticky situations is the funnily named Peahat, found in this pretty hidden cave east of Suthorn. This seed-like being grows spiky thorns, then begins to spin like a top, flying through the air, and does devastating damage to pretty much any type of foe it comes in contact with. Now, you can get this pretty early in the game, and I often found myself returning to it, as it could deal with most of the tough foes and bosses, being a tanky flying armada that I'd be pretty scared to go up against. It is useful and pretty easy to find, which is why it shows up so high in this list. And if you somehow don't have it, then trust me, go back and get it because you need it. In the number 3 spot, we're going to focus on 2 automaton echoes that are great options that do tons of range damage in the wind-up Gizmo and Talk to Rock. The Gizmo is a very unique machine as it periodically sends out bubbles of music that, if comes in contact with a foe, will kill them basically immediately. Not really sure how this crazy OP thing exists in the world of Zelda, but it can do a lot for you doing not that much work. Like all automatons, these are unlocked via the engineer Dampe by giving him a Zol Echo and the prismatic music box. The other, the Talk to Rock, is just a robotic version of the Octorock, and is super lethal once it's wound up as it fires off rock bullets very fast that deal a lot of damage to the things they hit. Now, it is stationary, so you need to place it in the right spot to use it correctly, which is the only downside to it, plus the fact you have to wind it up, which does take a little bit of time. To get this, you need to give Dampe an Octorock and the Fireworks Echo. Taking the number 2 spot in this video is a classic tough Zelda enemy in the Lionel, found within the Eternal Forest. This lion centaur creature has basically always been the most intimidating foe in the series, where in this game is just as scary, being able to use his gigantic sword to perform some insane attacks. This is a great thing to use to beat waves of foes, as one swing can clear many of them at once. Although it does cost a lot to use it, so you can really only have one out at once. Now before we get to my number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions. Taking the top spot at number 1 in this video is the automaton echo, Roboblin, which is a samurai-like moblin that uses its katana to cut down enemies in a pretty wide radius. This is super cheap, to the point where it almost ruins the game. I guess it is an automaton, which are extra things, and require you to do some side quests like, in this case, complete the Slumber Dojo challenge, which can be quite tough. Alright, that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. I really hope you did enjoy this one. If you agreed or disagreed with what I said, then please let me know in the comments below. Also, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell to stay notified, and please go follow my Instagram at CopyCatGamer. There I'll put some cool clips and items for my collection that you won't see anywhere else. Hope you guys all have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!